Hi friends, it's your pal Scott, and today we are going to talk about Critical Role, Dungeons & Dragons and Critical Role, and whether it is possible today for at this period in time that we're in right now, for 10 years from their beginning, for a Critical Role Conqueror to emerge. So this is coming out of the end for 20 years, in my opinion, of the conversation of a D&D killer. That's been a major conversation. We finally have, hey, let's have a discussion. Can D&D killer emerge? The answer is no. And ironically, Critical Role proved it. There's no ability for Critical Role for any OSR or indie to create a D&D killer for at least 20 years. I do believe, 20 years from now, enough time's going to have changed, but right now, Critical Role built Daggerheart to be a D&D killer, in my humble opinion, and did the best job anyone has ever done of creating a D&D killer, and then got to the point where, got to the Abraham Isaac moment, and it was like, okay, are you going to use this Daggerheart you used to shove into the heart of Dungeons & Dragons to kill it? And they were like, no, not even we will use this D&D killer, which means nobody else is going to. No one's going to use Daggerheart to kill D&D, right? Because it's not strong enough, right? It's just they didn't do it. They didn't get there. So now the conversation shifts. Are we at a point where D&D can get a new #1 live action play that can bring something fresh and new to Dungeons & Dragons and serve Dungeons & Dragons in new and better ways? I think that's an interesting question. So I want to dig into it. So the only way this would happen is if Critical Role is creating gaps in their live action performance that would allow someone to come in and defeat them, right? So is that happening? Yes. All right. So let me give you my receipts. Here's some things. So what is it? Where is Critical Role making an opening for a Critical Role Conqueror to emerge? A live action play group that will come along and knock them down the hill so that they're number 3, number 5, number 10, and there's a new #1 that is doing new things to serve Dungeons & Dragons and the Dungeons & Dragons community, okay? All right, where are they creating performance gaps? Here's one. Basic storytelling. All right, so first of all, all right, let me make this super clear. Matthew Mercer is not part of this. Matthew Mercer is, he is the Michael Jordan of the 95 Bulls, of the 6-ring Bulls, right? Matthew Mercer is phenomenal. He is not creating any gaps in storytelling. But man, oh man, are the players. They are creating a gap wide enough to drive a train through. Okay, so what are you saying, Scott? I don't know. Let me give it to you. Okay, let's look at the backgrounds of Vox Machina. Okay, Keyleth and Vex and Vax. Hey, our dad's a super rich noble, right? Like, very important, highfalutin, important person, right? Like, I come from a line of important rich people. Okay, Grog. Yeah, oh yeah, my dad's a chieftain, richest dude in the barbarian tribe. Got a bunch of magic items. Yep. Like, super important person, right? Okay. Percy DeRollo. Oh yeah, I'm from a super rich family, super rich, super high end, super important family. Yep. No dirt farmers here. And you're like, okay. Keyleth. Well, you don't want to be repetitive. My mom tried to be leader of the group, but then walked away and left. But she was up for leader of the tribe. Every single one of you are from super rich, merchant families or nobles. That all your parents were super awesome, right? You're like none of you came from none of your parents were farmers or maybe from a guild or something. There were none of them were working day. And you're like. Yeah, and it doesn't end there. Another one is Keyless. My character has a crisis of confidence. They don't really know if they're good at what they're doing or if they should do what they're doing. Ashley Johnson. My character doesn't really know. Really has a crisis of confidence. Doesn't really know if she's able to do what she's able to do, and really has a lot of anxiety and doesn't know if she's good at what she does or even should be that thing. Absolutely. There's just, and I think there's so many instances of this that it's just like they duplicate their characters, and they go through, their characters are not distinct. They overlap in ridiculous ways, and they don't do anything to differentiate, right? Like, and say, well, my character's already living through that storyline. Can your character maybe not, right? And you're like, well, Scott, where would they possibly do that? Well, in Session Zero. It's like, I do not use Session Zero. I despise Session Zero. I think it is terrible, terrible stuff. But this is what Session Zero, this is what every, go right, go left, you'll find a channel that's squawking at you about Session Zero. And this is the one thing that Session Zeros could logically fix. They're doing it, and they're all like, they're spitting out the same redundant, like, ridiculously overlapping character arcs, right? And not saying, hey, could you stop stepping on my character arc, right? Like, and then they just like, and it's bad. It's really bad, right? And so I really feel like it's not good. It's not good. Okay, here's another one. They perpetuate myths about the Dungeons & Dragons table. Bad ones. All right, let's whip through it. Matthew Mercer, Marisha Ray, Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, Sam Riegel, Ashley Johnson, Taliesin Jaffe, Liam O'Brien. 7 players at the table. 7, right? You're like, oh, okay, well, not a problem. You just got to get rid of 2, right? And then you'll have a full table. You have a full table at 5, right? Like, and you're like, oh, you just got to get rid of 2. Let's add 3. Or like, who did they add? Joe Manganiello, Abria Iyengar. And then I'm not joking, like 6 other people. Robbie Damon, like the list goes on and on and on, right? And then real Dungeon Masters and real Dragon Masters show up and are like, how do I play Dungeons & Dragons? Well, the first thing you need is 14 people at the table. No. You have a problem if you have 7. And they're like, oh, no. If you're, hey, you new people, if you got 7 people at your table, you better cram 5 more in there. And you're like, no, you're like pulling your hair out going, no, this is wrong. This is a terrible myth that you're perpetuating about Dungeons & Dragons. It doesn't work at these numbers, right? Like, it takes 40 minutes to go through a turn, right? Like, well, Scott, it's working. No, it's not. You literally have, like, it is not working. You have to pay people millions of dollars to play in this game. They won't do it. No one would play in this game for free, like, because it's not fun, right? Like, and it's ludicrously overstocked. Like, you have to build $1 million spaces just to cram all the people in. This would never work anywhere, right? Like, and so, and people look at this and they're like, oh, that's what a D&D game is. No, this is something shaped like D&D that you literally have to pay people millions of dollars to endure. And that's what they've done. They've paid people, they've paid every player at the table $1 million to endure this, right? Like, the co-founders, that is. I don't think they, pay the guest stars millions. They may, who knows, So that's the issue, right? Like, and these are two huge gaps where a new group could come in and say, hey, what if story arcs were not incredibly redundant? What if players actually orchestrated not just to not like duplicate each other's story arcs, but to actually create story arcs that built actual tension, or that actually built closer relationships between the characters, or that actually, multiplied the narrative value of the story being told, right? Like, that's a huge place where people could come forward. The other thing is, and this is just my take, so the myth, right? This perpetuating the myth that you need 11 to 12 people to play D&D is mechanically reductive. Like, it minuses the D&D experience. It is very, and it's not just me saying this. Like, people are like, oh, the Matthew Mercer effect. And when they say that, they're not like, oh, this great thing that's happened. They're like, this gigantic mountain that people have to climb over to get to actual D&D today, because the perception of it is so warped, right? And so, and that's a bad term for it, because actually Matthew Mercer is incredible. It's the players that they're problem, right? So, but he owns some of it, because he doesn't rein them in, right? Like, he does not rein them in. But if you could then, like, if you could get a group who is like, hey, we're not just nerdy friends playing together. We're a group of people who want to create a powerful narrative, and we want to show people what you can actually do with D&D. The value of that could be immense to the D&D community and to Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I want to be super clear. The value of what Critical Role has created is immense, but that value has been reaped by them. They're the ones that have reaped millions from this, right? Now, I do want to say the D&D community has, without a doubt, benefited from the Critical Role table for a while, but I definitely think after 10 years, they are creating gaps where a new group could come in and I want to say easily surpass them, but that is not right. It is not going to be easy to surpass Dungeons & Dragons. It's not going to be easy to surpass Critical Role. It's going to be massively difficult. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.